This toddler has two good qualities. She has 10 fingers and she's quiet. First stop in Taipei, the Ningxia Night Market. You buy food at a stall and they cook it for you. Joyce sits down for a bowl of thick squid soup. To be honest, it's a little bit too sweet and the squid doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. Doesn't this look appealing? Nicely presented. Roasted meats and so on. Let's see. A split goose head and neck. Gizzards. Chicken hearts. Intestines. The only non-meat item is fried tofu. Meanwhile, Joyce goes for grilled scallions wrapped in pork. We find a table. No plates, just the paper wrapper. Bring your own beverages and cups, and napkins. We are sorely tempted, but we skip dessert. Next day we do the National Palace Museum, one of the great museums of the world. Taking photos is not allowed, so here are some from the internet. Notice the olive stone boat on the left. It's carved from a stone the size of an olive with people inside, chairs, tables, and dishes, and the windows are movable. A conjoined vase with panels of birds and flowers. Back on the metro, we learned the local etiquette. No chickens allowed on the train. And no manspreading with your newspaper. Traveling around Taipei is easy. The subways have good English signs and are incredibly orderly. Every station has clean bathrooms. We go to an old traditional shopping district on Dihua Street. You can always find dried seafood, like the sea cucumber at the bottom. Business is totally brisk. Ren takes a video of fly swatter streamers on a fan. Our dinner at the Peng Yuan Hunan restaurant, where we thought we'd get simple bean curd skin, but the server assembles the skin in a whole production of bread and scallions and sauce, kind of like how they wrap Peking duck. Delicioso! And here's a rich, deeply flavored mutton stew with square dumplings. Morning is dawning and we go to the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial. The main display is a grand bronze statue of the Generalissimo on his throne. Here we give you a high-action video of the Frozen Guard. They change hourly, just like in London. At the history exhibit, we are surprised to learn that Chiang met Ben Kingsley. And here comes a rare musical treat, the official song of the Huanpo Military Academy, composed in 1926. Next stop is the memorial for Sun Yat-sen. He founded the Republic of China in 1912. Make careful note of the yellow roof. Another huge bronze statue on a throne. Sun died in 1925, but has he recently returned to this world for a visit? We go to Taipei 101, a trade center and the tallest building in town. We head for the observatory. Remember that yellow roof? Yes, it's the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Building again. Isn't that exciting? They are very proud of the wind stabilizer, 660 tons located at the top of the building. Next stop, a paper museum. They have a small exhibition of modern paper sculpture and old types of paper. Joyce buys seagrass paper and wrinkle paper made from mulberry bark. Make careful note of this seagrass paper. Time for dinner, and it was so good last evening we head straight back to the Ningxia street market. A local specialty is called stinky tofu, made in a brine of fermented milk, vegetables, and meat. Ren decides to try it. Spicy on the left, bland on the right. He goes for a 50-50 mix. And more grilled scallions wrapped in pork for Joyce. This tofu is pretty good. It has a slightly bready and meaty quality and not all that pungent. The next morning we meet our guide Fred, and we're ready to leave Taipei City and wander around Taiwan. His car is fully tricked out, top to bottom, a movie camera, a GPS, and a radar detector. If there was an accident, the police confiscate the memory card inside the camera. First stop, Yelyu Geopark, a peninsula that juts out into the East China Sea. The rock contains limestone and sandstone. It's been eroded by wind and sun and rain and water. A geologist's dreamland. Pitted and molded rocks. Curious shapes are everywhere. Even human ones. There are about 180 rocks shaped like mushrooms. Broad necks, narrow necks, and no neck. These are called candle rocks, a circular trench on the top that slopes downward to shape a cone candlestick. There are sea urchin fossils on the open ground where people walk, not very well protected. And Queen Nefertiti demonstrates majestic elegance. Which puts Ren in a romantic mood. Joyce says yes, and the travelers continue on. We take a long hike and come across these bird watchers with very expensive equipment. They cheat and use recordings to attract the birds. On to lunch in Keelung, a rainy port city. Here they make a sandwich from deep-fried bread with sausage, tomato, cucumber, preserved egg, and seasoned mayonnaise. Wow, is it good and messy. After lunch, we go to the nearby gold mining town of Jiufeng. All over Taiwan, people are welcoming us with open arms. They are friendly, considerate, and always willing to help. It's a wonderful environment for travelers. Unlike their mainland counterparts, they are soft-spoken and even-tempered, and they don't drown their vegetables in oil. When the Japanese took over, they outlawed prostitution. In 1934, they built Taiwan's first movie theater for substitute entertainment. The theater concession stand is a trip into the past. This is the air conditioning system, a pit containing blocks of ice with a fan below, blowing air out of the pit into the theater. For dinner, the Old Captain Seafood Restaurant in the nearby town of Sen-O, run by a family that operates their own fishing boat. They make this fabulous squid sausage using a ratio of 5 sacks of ink to 1 squid. We stay at a B&B, which is nestled at the top of a twisted 3-mile road, half a lane wide. It's the building on the top right. Gold mines operated near Jiufeng in 1895. We visit the Gold Museum. Gold comes in many forms. It's nature's way. Even young gold bugs can master ballroom dancing. Soon we arrive at the rock formations at Nanya. Sequential deposits of sediment show the changes in sea level. It's the perfect place to commit double suicide, or at least to grab your girl and start to think about it. A nearby town called Shifeng is known for its sky lanterns, paper hot air balloons. You buy a lantern that has a ball of paper inside, soaked in kerosene mixed with heavy oil. First, you write wishes for good fortune on all 4 sides. Then ignite the fuel and watch it rise 1,500 feet into the air. These fly for about 10 minutes, and then the frame falls to earth. Each vendor carves his name on the frame and offers the finder a fee for returning it. At night, these flaming lanterns are beautiful. Zhangjiu is a winery located in Yilan County in the northeast. The winemaker studied French winemaking and makes excellent true wines. The wines are from kumquats, plums, grapes, and grain. The grapes come from central Taiwan where elevations are higher. The kumquat wine is slightly sweet and the flavor is not so intense. We are most impressed by the next wine, a red made from Black Queen grapes. This is a thick-skinned hybrid developed in Japan. They make two versions, oak and stainless steel. International quality. We buy a bottle of the stainless steel. It's really good, $13. The Luodong Night Market looks like a promising spot for dinner. Joyce orders an oyster pancake, which is really an omelet. It's delicious if you avoid the ketchup. Meanwhile, this stall is making a dish of lamb tripe and water spinach for Ren. This is a first for us. They put the plate inside a plastic bag so they don't have to wash it. It's find a seat and BYOB. We stay at a cold and hot springs resort in Su'ao in Yilan County. Nice looking room, but we don't photograph the worn carpet and it smells moldy. We have our own hot and cold spring baths in the room. Breakfast is deserted. Apparently, they hold out for high room rates to cover the amenities, so there are not many customers. Just south of the cold springs is the fish market in Nanfang-o. A beautiful 3-foot fatty tuna sells for $700. The crabs here are a specialty. Next, we visit an Aboriginal village, Aohua, and see a group hanging out at a karaoke bar. All the men are truck drivers. 10 o'clock in the morning, and they have been drinking beer for a while now. They are very friendly and welcoming. The mountain road was cut off by a typhoon, so they can't work. You can hear the karaoke machine blaring a block away. There are 2 microphones. Some of the music is very danceable, so we start, then they join in. Our guide Fred turns out to be a very good singer. Later, we have to stop at the police station to apply for permits for our hike. We come across one of 6 hydroelectric power plants in the area. The same water is reused downstream at each of them. We need flashlights to get through a very long, dark tunnel. We reach a roadside stand. A vendor offers us homemade wine, actually rice wine mixed with Galian liquor, with poisonous Asian tiger bees inside, supposedly an antidote for bee stings. Another wine here with herbal roots, very healthy and especially good in chicken soup. Back in the car to our hotel, an Aboriginal B&B, with a few dozen bungalows and a central dining room. They are grilling bacon from wild boar. Very tasty with lime juice. The grilled sweet potatoes, yum! Our room is basic and furnished with Aboriginal arts and crafts. There are salamanders running around behind the carvings. No chairs, you sit on pillows. After dinner, there is a tourist show. The Aborigine children perform songs and dances. These are orphans cared for by the owner of the resort. First tribal, then K-pop, then breakdancing. As good as any subway dancers in New York. The Aboriginal sculptures in our room are a bit heavy to wake up to, so we hurry out into the morning. Butterflies are as plentiful here as pigeons in New York. There are thousands of them around the hotel grounds. We're starting our visit through Taroko Gorge. This building was Chiang Kai-shek's summer retreat. Helmets are required along the walk in the gorge. Taroko means magnificent and beautiful in the local language. Taroko Gorge is an 18-kilometer marble-walled canyon. Much of the gorge is closed now because of recent typhoon damage. Landslides are common. The Liu River cuts through the stone to deepen the gorge. Leach holes are formed by groundwater flowing out and by the abrasion of water and sand from the river. Some of the tunnels we can walk through. They're about 15 feet high. There is constant tectonic activity at the bottom of the gorge. It's rising by a few millimeters a year. This is Indian Chief Rock. We understand that the river created this unintentionally. Joyce makes a pencil sketch of the rock. Intentionally. Now we start our drive west into the mountains of central Taiwan. It is hair-raising, but Ren is pretty relaxed. Fred stops to take a photograph. At last we reach the 3,158-meter summit. Surprisingly, we find a convenient restaurant nearby. Other tourists have found it too. It is very cold and windy. Onward, our mountain retreat for the night is almost as depressing as it looks. The staff treats the Americans and the Chinese with equal disdain. The hotel serves a do-it-yourself hot pot meal. Boiling broth with a bowl of cabbage, kamaboko, fish balls, pork balls, taro, enoki mushrooms, rice noodles, and especially cabbage. We choose mutton meat. There's a lot of fat, and we decide to pull it off before cooking. When morning arrives, we are both above and below the clouds. We head out to the town of Puli to see the Zhongtaishan Zen Monastery, a massive building designed by the same architect who designed Taipei 101, a modernist design that violates all the rules of classic Buddhist temples. Entrance is by tour only, and for 2/3 of the tour, no one is allowed to speak. Photos are permitted only near the entrance. A four-headed heavenly king is actually a column. They say it unifies Buddhist symbolism, art, and ingenious design. The Buddhas plant in our minds the Bodhi seeds of awareness that will bloom into full enlightenment. The body glistening in gold is one of the 32 great physical features of the Buddha. The purpose is to look at his golden face and also reflect inwards on the purity of our own original face. Next, we visit the Guangsheng paper mill in Puli. They have a small display room in front with custom papers to show paper-making methods. Here we have mulberry, used to make the wrinkle paper that Joyce bought a few days ago in Taipei. They have a big workshop where individuals can learn to make paper. Only 1 hour of instruction, then do it yourself. The factory section. A worker collects pulp from boiled bark in a frame. She dries it at 200 degrees centigrade. Steam heat has to be used to heat the plates evenly hot. Sorry you can't hear the hiss. As we leave the paper mill at Puli, Joyce buys 60 sheets at the factory store. Soon you'll be seeing one of the sheets from this package. Outside we find beehives at a honey stand. They hand out tasting samples of honey vinegar cut with water. The way you test for honey, you put it on a toothpick and light it. Sugar burns, honey does not. Also, real honey does not leave a sticky residue when you lick it off your finger. Next stop, a product display hall where a local conglomerate exhibits several types of Chinese wine. We cannot believe this. Onion-flavored wine? They tell us they are trying out new ideas. We check it out. Not as bad as you might think, but almost. It's a short drive to Wanwu, a Confucian temple, large and showy, expensive materials. It's located on Sun Moon Lake, which became a big tourist development after World War II. The government rebuilt the temple in the 1970s in grand Chinese palace style. Mostly, it provides a backdrop for sightseeing photos. Large, colorful, but doesn't have much life as a place of worship. The temple consecrates Confucius plus a mixed bag of cultural and military gods. The words Wanwu mean cultural and martial. The temple intentionally promotes non-religious elements, culture and tourism. Most of the stone carvings were done in mainland China, No skilled artisans of this type left in Taiwan. Carved from a single stone. If you contribute money to the temple, your name is inscribed in granite. Thousands of names in Chinese and a few from India, Thailand, and other places. A bas-relief panel of performing dancers and musicians. Complicated and delicate carvings, remarkably true to life. Back at our hotel, we can see tourist boats from our window. Plus, we can hear the tour leaders on their bullhorns. Sun Moon Lake is cool in summer and pleasant in winter, surrounded by mist-shrouded mountains evoking Chinese landscape paintings, deluged by tourists. Most of them take a boat ride around the lake. Joyce makes a charcoal sketch of Sun Moon Lake bamboo on the seagrass paper she bought in Taipei. Just off the banks of the lake is the Living Basin, also called the Jumping Land, a water-soaked bog of sinking peat. They tell you it's like being on a trampoline. Not really. To make it into a tourist attraction, they provide rubber boots, plastic liners, and an orientation talk, mostly about the value of peat. The walkway, a series of planked panels about 2 feet square. You step on the plank, it sinks down, and your boot is now in a few inches of water. Joyce is fearless and confident. Note carefully the pair of eyeglasses hanging from her collar. Then she takes a step with no support below. Her plank drops about a foot and it tilts, and she goes in above her waist. Joyce is drenched. She empties muddy water from one boot. Then comes a deluge of muddy water from the other boot. Good thing the boots are waterproof, so they can really hold a lot. But the plastic footliners are not all that effective. Spills happen often here, especially to little kids. Showers and toilets on the left, sinks on the right. Joyce goes through all her stuff. Her reading glasses are missing. They are in the drink, and management tries to find them. No luck. Next stop, a nearby town with a laundromat and an optical shop. She selects a pair of +200 readers with 3 little diamonds on the earpiece. We take a short drive west to the Wuchang Temple. It collapsed in the 1999 earthquake. Miraculously, no one was killed because it happened at 2 in the morning, and the night watchman had gone out to take a leak. The Buddha statue inside was unscathed. They moved it to a new temple next door. The damaged temple remains as a memorial. You think every temple is ancient, but here the damage exposes modern wiring, plumbing, and rebar. Now on to the Shui-Li Snake Kiln near Sun Moon Lake, a 131-foot-long ceramic kiln, the longest in the world. Built 85 years ago to make industrial-sized pipes, but these are now made of concrete, so the kiln is used today mostly by artists. Fueled by wood. Mostly they used broken-up junk furniture, and it heats up to 1100 degrees centigrade. They display some of the items fired in the kiln. This old table leg pot has a trench that you fill with water. Set the table leg in the center. Insects can't climb up. The secret teapot, for royalty afraid of being poisoned. No opening at the top. You fill it from the bottom. Now the pot is upside down and full of water. Turn it over quickly and it stays full. Now you serve the liquid, just like any teapot. Here's the secret design. Now we take a look inside the kiln, high enough to walk in easily. Then we head for our B&B and stop first at a betel nut workshop. Too bad this is legal. The chewing destroys your gums and teeth. The leaves are harmless. This is the paste, the addictive and destructive part. Tonight's B&B is owned by an organic farmer and designed to provide a quiet and simple experience. In your room, don't wear shoes. No TV, no refrigerator, no reading lamp, no alcohol, no eating. Quiet after 10:30. 2 hard beds and half-size blankets. Roosters and birds wake us up at 5:30. We tour their vineyard. Kyoho is a Japanese black grape they grow on a horizontal or pergola trellis, so it can't act as a vertical sail, less susceptible to damage from typhoons. It's odd to see a flat carpet of grape leaves almost 6 feet above ground. They attach paper bags by hand to protect the grapes from insects and birds. They taste a little like Concord grapes. The vines can be pushed to produce 3 harvests per year. Time for a pit stop. Bathrooms are plentiful in rural areas too, but some people have to be taught how to use a sitting toilet. Ren is typing notes to our photos on the drive to the Alishan Mountains. On the handrest of the keyboard is a kind of suede covering. It grips the bottom of your hand even on hairpin turns. Use your car time to write down your impressions while they are still fresh. Alishan is Taiwan's most visited national park. It's a mountain range on Taiwan's spine. Next day, Yuyupas, which means welcome, the name of this village in Alishan where the Zhou tribe lives. The village was decimated in the 2009 typhoon. So to restore the jobs they lost, they rebuilt the village and created a tourist attraction. They put on a show with Aboriginal music that sounds strangely like Broadway and fairly simple dancing. They sing a song called Gao Shan Chung that says, Alishan ladies are beautiful like flowing water, young Alishan men are strong like mountains. Actually, that's true. They are quite good-looking people, with somewhat Western features. Most of these players are tribal natives. Before the show, the girls walk through the stands selling snacks, just like at a Yankees game. Then the same girls get on stage and do the show. After that, they work the cash registers. They're not done yet. The audience leaves, and they have to do the cleanup. Clouds are common. At lunch, this scenery would be beautiful if we could only see it. Alishan is famous for high mountain tea. We visit a tea farm that grows 2 types of oolong tea. The lighter green color tastes a little like green tea. Depending on the amount of roasting and fermenting, oolong can be light, middle, or heavy grade. For tasting tea, steep for exactly 6 minutes. It takes this long to detect astringency, which you don't want. For normal drinking, steep only 1 minute. Add 10 seconds for each additional use up to 4 or 5 times. Alishan National Park is set in a high-altitude forest. Beautiful trails, dramatic views, one of the most popular tourist attractions in Taiwan, especially to mainland Chinese tour groups by the busload. We outwait them and hike on the tracks at dusk. The air is cool and wet. We are about to enter an area of giant cypress trees. Most were logged by the Japanese during colonial times for lumber and for furniture. It has a straight grain. Also, a high oil content that gives it a fine fragrance and makes it resistant to decay. Our destination is this giant red cypress tree, 3,500 years old. Shui-san, Water Mountain, is the name of the tree. Water because it is located next to a small reservoir. On the way back, we are dazzled by a view, again resembling a beautiful Chinese painting in full color. The next day, Joyce whips out one of the 60 sheets of paper she bought in Puli and gives us this ink and pastel drawing. We hit the road and have lunch inside a grungy market in the city of Jiayi, where we try the special beef soup. They cook the beef products in the boiling broth, equal portions of tripe, kidneys, liver, tendons, and beef. Takes about a minute to prepare it. Joyce gets ready. If you think French cuisine is good, wait till you try this. A little ginger on the top and yum-o. Cost for a bowl is $4, plus 30 cents for a bowl of rice. Then we take a prison tour in Jiayi. The buildings are made of wood, built by the Japanese in the 1920s. Inmates were housed in 3 wings arranged in a fan-like pattern. They came to a point, so one officer could observe them all. In use until 1994. Not being Christians, they are confused about how to work that crucifix. But they manage to make it an effective instrument of torture. They display some of the prisoner art. An artist has to work with the materials available. This is called love, made of pieces of movable metal type for printing. Some of the art here is sophisticated. A lot is mediocre. The art was put up for sale, and the artist would receive a small portion of the proceeds. The remainder was used to buy better food for the inmates. This one is from paper. This is the women's showers. When it was overcrowded, prisoners slept on the floor of the prison factory building next door. We go to our last destination, the city of Tainan. It's the oldest city in Taiwan. We choose a seafood restaurant for dinner that's near the canals and brightly lit like a Hong Kong restaurant. You choose your fish and how you would like it prepared. We choose some fish cartilage, a Taiwan specialty recommended in every guidebook. It comes with celery, ginger, scallions, and a really tasty sauce. The cartilage doesn't have much taste. The texture is like tender calamari, just a simple bland protein in good surroundings. Also homesick for something more familiar, we like the plain boiled shrimp, tastier than what we get in America. The noodle dish is light and addicting. And the fried rice is so good, we think the chef should be sainted. The best in the world, hands down. Ren starts the next day in the market with a smack in the forehead from a hanging raw liver as he concentrates on a picture. Testicles, you think? Actually, these are ovaries, hanging by their fallopian tubes. These came from a young pig and can stay in the market only one day. Then their biological clock shuts down. We come across a maker of sugar cakes on a street corner. He puts a sugar and water mix into a ladle and heats it over a charcoal fire. Add a dash of soda powder and stir. Suddenly it will rise. Takes about 5 seconds. The sugar cake has a strong caramel taste. Mostly people break off a piece and use it like a sugar cube. Lunch is at an open-air noodle palace run by the same family for over 60 years. This fabulous $2 bowl of soup has yellow wheat noodles, and the fish ball is made from milkfish. There are water jets around the perimeter that spray down a cooling mist on the customers. After lunch, Fred needs 2 pairs of glasses to read his GPS screen to get us to the next stop. On to one of the more amazing sights, banyan trees that have totally overrun a big old factory building. This is called the Anping Tree House. Banyan trees are known for inferior wood and wonderful shade. The fibrous root is called a horse's tail. The root dangles to expose it to moisture from the air. It is a strangler plant that overruns and pushes out peripheral plants. The roots secrete an acid that dissolves stone. This is how it can climb brick walls. This looks more ancient than it is. After World War II, the building was used for a few years to store crude salt. Then it was abandoned. It took only 60 years for these banyan trees to climb the walls and press down the roof. For dinner at a Tainan seafood place, we order frog with sautéed vegetables, all familiar in any New York Chinese restaurant. However, Fred shows the Taiwanese superstition of how we will sleep tonight from eating frog for dinner. Our favorite Taiwan beer comes in 2 varieties, very similar in taste. Much forthcoming research will be required to arrive at a preference. Here's a hint about our upcoming boat tour. Oyster shells glued to the bathroom walls. Next stop, oyster beds in the Taiwan Strait. 11 square miles of them. Farmers depend on tides to collect the oysters. We dock on a sandy island. Just like in France, not everyone is a beach person. Ren scores some oysters. Lunch is provided by the boat company. A charcoal grill and a bucket of oysters, which we all cook ourselves. The park outside the Chi Mei Museum is a photo op for wedding couples. The museum opened in 1992 and holds the private collection of a Taiwanese billionaire. The musical instrument collection is one of the world's greatest. All eras and cultures. No photos allowed of the Strads, Guarneris, Amatis, and more. Instead, we buy this souvenir card at the gift shop. For dinner, we order Buddha jumps over the wall. Supposedly, the fine cooking aromas lured a vegetarian monk to escape the monastery and go after this high-end casserole. Actually, more undercooked pork knuckles here than anything else. But there are 3 delicious abalones and a nice melange of chestnuts, scallops, bird's eggs, and so on. At the end, the remaining broth is reheated and put into a bowl. Very delicious. Our last evening in Taiwan, and everyone is happy. The Tainan City Airport is so small, there is only one gate. Our bag disappears into the scanner, but we see a sign that reassures us. Some weird-looking people are starting to appear in the terminal. Soon they are posing for pictures, and these are professional cameras. They are more than willing to pose for tourists. Not only that, they walk around and invite tourists to pose with them. There are more and more of them now, and the outfits are getting elaborate. They're taping a product promotion. The odd-shaped black hat on the left and Joyce's hand gesture represent a type of water chestnut. The shell of this water chestnut is ground up and added to beauty products. It looks like a bat. This is Iris. She explains the product to Joyce and shows her the kit of beauty products. They seem to work on Iris, who says she is in her 40s. Iris urges Joyce to pose for pictures, and no doubt this one is already posted on their website. Iris presents the already strangely beautiful Joyce with a free beauty kit. The funny part is that Joyce has been wearing no makeup during our entire trip. Iris says we should post these pictures on our Facebook page. If our Facebook post gets the most likes, we win a free trip to Japan. From Taiwan. They have tubes of shampoo, conditioner, body lotion, skin cleanser, soap, and facial mask, all with ground-up chestnut shells. They finish with a dance routine. Our final impression is we think Taiwan has more bathrooms than the rest of the world combined, and therefore more bathroom signs to read. We leave Taiwan and go to Hong Kong, where we experience the very latest in bathroom design. In our hotel, the bathroom wall is made of glass. Just the thing for you modern couples. Privacy is so 1990.